Welcome back, and thanks for joining us for another episode. We're going to be talking today about some common encryption concepts that I'd like to learn, because this stuff is still pretty new to me. And so, what do you say we just jump right in?
Let's hit it.
Let's start with an acronym that you may have heard before, PKI, which stands for Public Key Infrastructure.
Yeah, can you taste that? That's PKI right there. It's not good. It's a sour taste in your mouth, but it's quite a useful thing. It's like castor oil, right? I don't mean the stuff you put in your car. I mean the stuff you take when your belly hurts, right? It don't taste bad going down, but it sure does the trick.
It's true.
Okay, so PKI, it's definitely that. It's a lot of moving parts to it. That's why I'm kind of making fun of it right now. And things you need to know about that. So PKI, Public Key Infrastructure, to define this, it's basically the ability to create and manage certificates for the purposes of doing encryption and authentication, things of that nature, right? So in a PKI, you can do things such as create certificates. You can issue certificates once they've been created, also revoke certificates and manage those certs when necessary. So that's the quick and dirty, fast, coming at you definition of PKI.
Okay, well, I mean, that's really enough for me. I say we end the episode right here.
It's been good. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
So that's kind of like you said, the basic definition of PKI. What are some of the components of PKI that we should know?
Okay, a few components definitely you're going to want to put on your hit list, so grab your flashcard material if that's what your thing is. And let's go through the list, shall we? So I'm going to start off with a certificate management system. This is the software that runs the whole kit and caboodle. All right, this is your certificate management system, or CMS. It's what's going to create certs. It's going to do certificate distribution. It's going to be the certificate store. It's going to do verification. It's a lot of fun, and we like it. It's nice. Because without it, we have no PKI, right? If you could do it, it would be really, really not fun. Yeah. Because if you try to do all this stuff like manually without a centralized store to kind of handle all this business, you would find yourself giving up, no mossing, just hitting that I'm done button really quick, okay? So the certificate management system is one of the main components, if not the main component, of a PKI. Then, of course, you have the digital certificates themselves, the actual cert. This is used for verification of the entities, also known as our users, right? Sometimes it's a service account or whatever, but you get the idea. We also have a validation authority, validates those digital certs. Now, this can be a separate piece of the equipment, right? This is because, well, the CMS can do this as well, but we also have a validation authority, which can kind of take some of the lift away from the centralized location. So it's super nice. It does this by hosting a certificate revocation list, also known as a CRL, and responding to CRL requests. Again, reducing that workload of the CA itself, which is our next big thing, the certificate authority. Issues the digital certs, validates the digital certs, revokes the digital certs, and deletes. This is where our management comes into play. The main gear that kind of everything else rotates around. This is the engine inside of the car, as it were. Yes, the car has other components, but without the engine, what good is the rest of it?
Honestly, yeah, that's true. You can't really drive without the engine. Yeah. So definitely important.
I mean, you can pull the old Fred Flintstone.
You could just paddle it. You could just, yeah.
At the end of your first journey, and you just have
beat feet.
Bloody feet. You're like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go back with the engine thing again. I like that better.
Put that in the subtitle for this episode.
Yeah.
Learning about bloody feet.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they're gonna take that out of the caption.
Fred's feet must have been like stone, right? Like this guy.
Hence the name. It's actually how we got his name.
Fred Stone.
Yeah. Now, see how much you learn when you tune into these episodes.
Indeed.
So what is the role of the end user in all of this?
The end user is the person or the entity that is going to request certificates. And as an end user, we might actually also manage a thing or two. Like we are people, and these systems don't run themselves, right? So we are part of that equation. So ultimately, we are kind of the consumer of all of this stuff, and sometimes the manager of all of this stuff. But we don't. Other than that, we don't play a major part. We just need the things that this thing does.
Okay. Good to know. And then last but not least, we have the registration authority. What do they do?
The registration authority. This is where registration comes in, obviously. This is another one of those things I think that is kind of helps move away some of the busy work from the CA. Okay. So the registration authority will pre-screen certs and do the kind of like, when a cert is going for assigning requests, right, for initial enrollments or renewals that need to be done. The RA can verify the requester, the person or the organization, and then forward that. So it's kind of like, okay, so you'd like to talk to the CA. Totally get it. Let me get your resume first. They're the HR of a certificate management system. Okay, so they can pre-screen this for requests that need to be done, again, for enrollments or renewals. And then once that pre-screening is done and they're kind of some of the boxes are checked, it sends that along to the CA, and the CA just has to go, cool, if I got it from the RA, then I know things are already done. I can start here instead of all the way from the beginning. Right? So we see these a lot of times within a certificate management system as a very helpful thing.
Okay, takes some of the burden off the CA.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are some of the components of public key infrastructure that you'll need to know. And then there's also, there's steps to this PKI process, right?
Yes, definitely steps. Steps you probably should be familiar with, because you kind of want to know what's going on in that black box that is your certificate management system. So what is happening in my PKI? Well, you have your subject, right? That's the user, the organization that applies for the certificate. That's where it all begins. And if you have an RA stood up, that's where it's going to go first, and most likely you do, right? Even if the CA is acting as an RA, yeah, it happens. You double dip, right? So then the RA, step 2, processes the request, verifies the subject's identity, requests the CA to issue the public key cert to the subject. Cool. CA says, awesome, got this lovely request from the RA. Let me handle that for them. Get that out of the way. Issues the cert or the public key off to the subject, and an update message is sent to the VA with the subject's info. Okay. Step 4 takes us to the user receives the cert and then uses it. We get to consume the certification that we have now requested from the PKI. Communication is signed with certs. We like certs. Certs are nice. We get to use them. Then we have step 5. The recipient, also known as a client, can query the VA, checks that that cert is valid, and the VA verifies the cert. Step 6, the end. Those are the steps. So pretty logical, pretty straightforward. Just a couple of ideas that you need to be familiar with as far as like who's holding the baton at what time is kind of the important pieces there. So kind of figure out that process of who starts that race, and then where does it relay to, what's happening during that relay leg, and then they pass it on. You get the idea.
Yeah, next time on ESPN.
Yeah,
about that
the
process.
Ocho.
The Ocho. Yeah, the Ocho. That is the channel it would be on too. So that's the steps in the PKI process. I want to go back to that idea of the certificate authority, because you mentioned it a couple times. There is such a thing as like CA services, right?
Yes, CA services. These are third-party trusted entities that do CA for us, right? We don't have to build this. Let's jump into my computer really quickly here. I've got a certificate authority stood up in a Windows server. Right, so this is me doing it myself. I can come in here. I've got the certificate authority loaded. I've got revoked certificates. I've got issued certs. I can go in here. I can see, oh, look, there's some certs that have been issued. I got requests. I got failed requests, certificate templates. I can issue. I can create. I can do whatever I need to do within here. But that's a lot of administrative overhead for me. And if I issue that certificate, do you trust that cert? I mean, I know we're cool and all, but do you know me like that? That you would trust those certs that I've signed and put out there in the world? Maybe, maybe not. And since I know there are going to be entities that I do not know at all, and therefore just intrinsically and inherently cannot trust, I need an intermediary. I need a third party to come in and be that bridge that we both trust to hold the money. You know what I mean, right? That's the kind of the idea with a CA service. So we have these CA services out there. It's going to be like Thought and VeriSign, those types of entities. If you ever looked in your browser to find, you'll see there's a whole list of them that are in there. Let me see if I got Firefox running around here somewhere. Well, I did. I think I've got it here on this system. I guess I should close my Teams messages. And we'll look for Firefox, because I know that one the best. Firefox. And in here, no, I don't want to set that now, but I can go to here. And then, of course, this is different for everybody on what's going on as far as whatever browser you're using. I'm going to go to Settings. And then in here, we have Privacy and Security. All the way down at the bottom, I've got Certificates, and I can hit View Certificates. And in here, look at this. See these certificate names? And then you've got this information right here. That is the CA service. And if you look through here, you probably don't recognize some of these, maybe even a lot of these, honestly. But these are services that, like we got Affirm Trust, right? Amazon, you probably are aware of them. They can work as a CA, and they can issue certificates as you need. So if I buy a certificate from Amazon and I use it for verification, you can trust it because it comes from Amazon, not from me necessarily, right? I have purchased the right to get street cred from Amazon. That's what that cert is all about. And you can look through those, and if you want to, I think you can even double click them, yeah, and it'll show you all the interesting things about this, the validity time and public key algorithm, and just lions and tigers and bears in here, oh my, right? So lots of cool information there, but that's basically what's going on there. It's just a good tangible example of how a third-party CA can be very useful to you and me in the real-world scenario.
And when we talk about signing certificates, there is such a thing as a self-signed certificate, right? Which to me seems a little, if the whole point of having a signed certificate is like to prove it is valid, if it's self-signed, what does that prove?
All right, so yes, there are self-signs, and that's kind of what I was talking about right here, right? I would have the ability to come in here and create a certificate here, and it would be my own. I'm self-signing it. I'm the authority that says that that's a good certificate. Now, have you ever, I like to use websites because we all go to websites, right? So you've probably encountered the error of this SSL certificate or this TLS certificate is unknown, or it's invalid, or it's self-signed. Maybe you run into that error. And then you have the option to go, I'll accept the risk and I'll go forward anyway. Or, yes, I wish to continue, even though you're telling me this is an insecure activity. The reason it's saying it's insecure is because we don't know who that person is if it's coming down to a self-sign. Right? Just like I said, I can come right here, jump into this, say, I want to create a new certificate, and I'm off to the races. I got myself a cert. I can attach it to my website. I can do SSL. I can open port 443, and now my website's all SSL'd up. But you are going to receive an error that says, I don't know this person. You know that list we just looked at? He ain't in it. Are you sure is what you want to do? So you have to kind of like measure your response to that, whether or not you think that that entity is going to be trustworthy or not. Now, that said, that doesn't mean that like that's how typically we use self-signed certificates. The way we typically use self-signed certificates is within our own organization. Of course, we trust us, right? So, trust you. Go for it. Trust yourself all you need, because some things require certificates, or maybe you want to add a layer of internal security, because what happens if a threat actor gets in? You know the whole idea, right? You get the idea. It's adding another layer of security, so it's a good idea to do, and some things will require it. If you're not going outside of your org, self-sign all day long. No one cares. It's you trust you, at least I hope you do. And, I can't trust myself with these certificates. It's just, right? But otherwise, you're running down this whole idea of, hey, I need to authenticate you, and I don't know who you are. Well, I'm Billy. Well, how can I verify that you are really Billy and a good Billy? Well, I can show you ID. Okay, let's see it, right? Give me a second. There's my ID. Hold on. What? You just made your own ID? Yeah. What's wrong with that? I don't know. It seems sketchy. No, yeah, I sketched it right out right here. No. So you gotta measure exactly where a good self-signed certificate is going to be useful and where it's not.
Right. There's certain situations where that would be appropriate or okay to use.
Exactly.
It would make sense. Okay. That makes sense to me. So before we wrap up this lovely discussion on PKI and such, I would love it if you would take a moment and just go over secure sockets layer inspection.
You've been dying for this.
I've been dying.
Bugging me like
you can
night and
I'm
day.
over here just foaming at the mouth.
I'm getting text messages, emails.
That's why you had Teams open.
Right.
I was Teams
Because there's
again.
nothing but Sophia going, yo, secure socket layer inspection? What's
I'll go
up,
home
dog?
and cry if we don't
When
talk
are we going to
about
get
it.
this, right?
I will cry.
She will.
We have
So,
to talk about it.
for her, right? Shall we? Let's do the thing. So SSL inspection, what is this? This is where we have SSL conversations happening. I say SSL. TLS is the...
I was going to say, I thought SSL was kind of like,
yes.
at this juncture.
In reality, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You don't use SSL anymore.
Okay.
It's TLS, and you use the latest version of TLS.
Right.
But SSL just kind of has a ring to it, so people tend to just still use that vernacular.
Okay. That makes
Okay?
sense.
No big deal. We can handle it. We're grown-ups. But anyway, so then we still have SSL inspection. But basically what's happening, I've got two devices that want to talk. What do they need to do? They got to establish an encrypted communication. They exchange information when it comes to certificates and encryption and all this stuff that's going to happen. And then bada bing, we got ourselves a nice, beautiful, encrypted conversation, right? Well, guess what? It's pretty easy to employ encryption nowadays. So let's say that you and Sophia have this wonderful encrypted thing going on here. And I go, that's cool, and I infect your machine with malware. And that malware starts talking to Sophia, or maybe even talking back to me as the attacker. Well, if I'm encrypting that traffic, what AV EDR product is going to go, well, there's SSL traffic, it's just normal TLS web traffic's going over the right port, it's got the right type of communications happening, it looks like traffic. Plus, I can't really, even if I thought it was weird or sketchy, I can't tell what it is anyway, it's just a guess. What if we could tell exactly what it is? So this is SSL inspection. This is where you have a device that sits between the two parties and decrypts all the traffic, inspects it, goes, is anything weird or bad here? No? Okay, good, next. Re-encrypts it and then sends it along, right? To do that, they need all the encryption keys, right? So there's that, it must occur. You can't decrypt encrypted information without the encryption key. So that device will get copies of all that piece of information. And then when the conversation starts happening, it decrypts, sees, is it good, is it bad, is it whatever? If it's bad, 9, stop, niet, no. Whoa there, Nelly.
Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
You nailed it.
Straight to jail.
Right, straight to jail.
Believe it or not, straight to jail.
Straight to jail, right? This could be a next-gen firewall, it could be a proxy, something called a network tap or a terminal access point. You can use any or all of these things to make this kind of thing happen. But once you have that in line, you can now start inspecting all traffic, whether encrypted or not, checking for malicious activity. So a secure sockets layer inspection mechanism, like a next-gen firewall, is a really nice to have, and another really strong layer of security that you can add into your system. So not only are you using encryption, but now you can verify that the encrypted data is not malicious. Super nice.
Yet another important encryption concept to be aware of. And I think as good a place as any to wrap up this discussion. I don't know about you. Yeah, he's done for the day. So thank you for walking us through some of these common encryption concepts. Good information to have. Hopefully you were taking notes. If not, you have a rewind button. Just go watch it again. And thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.